Most home recordings don't fail because of bad gear. They fail because of a handful of mistakes that happen before you even press record. And the frustrating part is that most of them are completely avoidable once you know what to look for. I've been running a professional recording studio for over a decade and working as a live engineer. So I've heard a lot of recordings, great ones, bad ones, and everything in between. And the same mistakes show up over and over again, regardless of genre and regardless of gear. So today I'm going to walk you through 7 of them, what they are, why they matter, and exactly how to fix them. A quick note, if you are new here, my name is Scott and I run Engineered Studio. Engineered is a resource for independent artists and for the engineers and producers who want to get the most out of their gear and their recordings. Without further ado, let's get into it. The room you record in matters more than your microphone, and here is what most people get wrong. This is the single biggest mistake that people can make, and it's the one that's actually the hardest to fix after the fact, because your room is an instrument, and when you record in an untreated space, you're recording the room as much as you are recording yourself. The hard walls, the bare floors, parallel surfaces, these create reflections and standing waves, and those get baked into your recording. No amount of EQ or reverb in the mix is going to fix a recording that sounds like it's in a bathroom. Now, the good news is you don't need to build a professional studio to fix this. Soft furnishings will absorb sound, so rooms with a carpet, a couch, bookshelves full of stuff, heavy curtains, all of those are natural acoustic treatment. You can also record in a walk-in closet surrounded by clothes, and this is genuinely one of the best budget solutions out there. If you want to go a step further, of course, acoustic panels are relatively cheap and can make a huge difference on the walls either behind you or beside you. But the goal isn't a dead room. The goal is a controlled room where you are hearing your source, not your walls. Where you put your microphone changes everything, and most people are doing this wrong without even knowing it. Look, you can have a great microphone and kill your recording entirely based on where you put it. The distance, the angle, and proximity to the pop filter, all of it can matter. For vocals, most people record too close. And too close, you'll get proximity effect, the exaggerated low-end buildup that makes everything sound muddy and oversaturated. So a general starting point for most condenser mics is 6 to 12 inches from the source, with a pop filter a couple of inches in front of the capsule. You can also just do the hang loose sign and set your thumb on your chin and your pinky out towards the mic. Also, angle matters too. Pointing the mic directly at the source isn't always right. So offsetting it slightly, angling it down towards the mouth or chest rather than dead on can help reduce sibilance and give you a cleaner, more natural resonant sound. For acoustic instruments, mic placement becomes even more important because you're capturing the resonance of the instrument, not just the attack. For example, on an acoustic guitar, moving the mic from the sound hole to the 12th or 14th fret area and angling it in will give you a completely different sound. Less boomy, more balanced, and more natural. The best thing you can do is record a short clip, move the mic, record again, and compare. Your ears will tell you immediately. If your recordings always sound distorted or thin and noisy, this is probably why. Gain staging is one of those fundamentals that nobody really teaches, but everyone seems to struggle with. So recording too hot, meaning your input level is clipping or you're pushing into the red, can create digital distortion. And that is completely unrecoverable. Unlike tape saturation, where can sound warm and musical, digital clipping is harsh and usually permanent. You cannot fix a clipped recording in the mix. It's gone. On the other hand, recording too quietly gives you a weak signal and it gets buried in the noise floor. So when you boost it in the mix, you boost everything, including the hiss, the hum, and the room noise. So the sweet spot for modern digital recording is to aim for peaks hitting around -18 to -12 dB full scale on your input meter. That will give you plenty of headroom to work with in the mix while keeping the signal well above the noise floor. Set your gain before you start recording. Do a run through at full performance energy, watch your meters, and adjust. Don't set levels at half energy and then wonder why everything is clipping once you actually commit. So a quick pause. If this is useful, hit subscribe. I'll continue to put out content like this for independent artists and for engineers who want to record better without spending more money. Okay, 4 more. Skipping this one step before you record is why so many home recordings will just fall apart in the mix. A scratch track is a rough, temporary recording that you lay down first. This helps you establish tempo, feel, and structure. It's not meant to sound great. It's meant to give everything else something to lock into. When you skip this and you try to record everything cold, you end up with takes that don't sit together. Tempos can drift and performances that can even feel disconnected. If you're recording alone and playing everything yourself, a scratch guitar or a click track as your foundation can make everything and every subsequent take tighter and easier to edit. The reference point part, well, this is also equally important. Before you start the session, pull up a song that you love. You love the way it sounds, and you want your recording to sound similar. You're not trying to copy it. You're trying to calibrate your ears to give you a target to aim for in a reality check when you're deep in the weeds of your own session. Professionals can do this on single products. And it's not a crutch. This is a workflow. The headphones you record with might be lying to you. Here's what that's costing on your recordings. Consumer headphones are designed to sound good, which sounds like a positive thing until you realize that sounds good actually means boosted bass, hyped highs, and scooped mid-range that flatters music rather than reveals it. When you record and mix on headphones that are flattering your sound, you end up making decisions based on a lie. You think the low end is balanced, you think the vocals are sitting right, and then you play it on someone else's speakers and the entire mix just seems to fall apart. What you want for recording and monitoring are flat response headphones. Headphones that reproduce a sound as accurately as possible without adding too much color. For example, the Sony MDR 7506s have been an industry standard for decades, and this is the reason. They're not expensive, they're not flashy, but they tell you what's actually there. Audio-Technica makes their ATH M50Xs, and this is another solid option in the same price range. Look, you don't have to spend a lot, but you really have to stop recording on beats. All right, every artist has kept a take that they knew wasn't right. But here's why that always costs you later. This one is psychological as much as it is technical. You're 3 hours into the session, you're tired, you just did a take that was mostly right. Maybe the timing was a little loose in one spot and maybe you came off the note a bit at the end. And you tell yourself, I'll just fix it later in the mix. Here's the thing. You won't. And even if you technically can, you will spend 3 times as long trying to fix something that would have taken just 1 or maybe even 2 more takes to get right. The mix is for enhancing a great performance. This is not a repair shop. A solid rule: if you know in the moment that something wasn't right, do another take. Always. Your gut knows it, so trust it. Keep your best takes, comp those together if you need to, but never settle for something you already know is wrong. The feeling of good enough in the session becomes the thing that you're most embarrassed about when you hear the final mix. I'll fix it in the mix is the most expensive phrase in home recording, and here is what it's actually costing you. This is the one that connects all of the others. Every mistake that we've talked about, the bad room, the wrong mic placement, the hot levels, the subpar take, all of those get worse when you try to address them after the fact. EQ cannot remove room reflections that are baked into a recording. It can only shape what's already there. Compression cannot fix a performance that wasn't committed. It can only control dynamics. And pitch correction can save a note, but it cannot save an emotionally flat performance. The mix engineer, whether that's you or someone that you hire like me, can only work with what we're given. The better your source recordings, the better your mix will be. Full stop. The goal of recording is to capture something real. The goal of mixing is to make the real thing sound its best. Those are two completely different jobs. Don't ask the mix to do the recording's work. Here is a quick checklist to run before every recording session so you never make these mistakes again. Run this before every session. Treat your room or find the best sounding space you have access to. Set your mic placement intentionally and test it before you commit. Gain stage properly. Peaks at -18 to -12, not in the red. Lay down a scratch track and pull up a reference track. Put on your flat response headphones. Do the take again if you know it wasn't right. And remember, everything you get right before the mix makes the mix that much better. If this helped, subscribe. I'm going to recover recording and business side of being an independent artist and an engineer, and there's a lot more coming. And if you're at the point where you want to stop fighting your recordings and work with someone who does this for a living, check the link in the description. And I will see you in the next one.